Busy booking loads, right? Brokering.
Yes, I have 3 today. And my carrier's already sent me 2 that he's already dropped off. So he just 1 more to go. That's it.
Very, very good. So a day in the life of a freight broker. So how is that? So what is your I guess you guys need to hear this. Let's do that, I guess. I was gonna stay in here for like an hour so I can get some rest because I literally just came in from a 10-hour drive. But and as soon as I got home, my wife, dad, and tackled me. Like I've been gone, like I've been coming home from prison or something. But but I get it. So But so let's do Cuba crack it up. Yeah, man. So been with her 15 years. So she stuck with me. So, but let's do this. Can I pick on you, Camille? Well, not pick on you, but get your take on.
Sure.
So the other brokers need to hear this, right?
Sure.
So
Can you hear me clearly?
okay, so the workflow of a freight broker, right? So, and let's assume this is after you get shipments from a shipper. And then how do you get shipments from a shipper? This is after you get past getting your license, right? So this will help LaDonna as well too. Because LaDonna, you just got your broker license, right? I think LaDonna's still with us. LaDonna just got her broker license. And so next thing you want to do is get a shipper. How did you, is the only shipper you got, Camille, is that Grant?
No, I don't. I have another one that I'm waiting for the paperwork to come back.
Okay, so when you first get a shipper, what is the process after making the phone call and having a good conversation with the shipper? What is the process? Is it this? They say, okay, yeah, I like what you're sounding like. We're looking for brokers. Send us your packet, right? Does that sound familiar?
That's very familiar. Yep.
Okay, so what do you do next? What was the packet that you sent to the shipper, and what was the contents of your packet, if you don't mind me asking?
I have my authority, my surety bond. Now that I have all this additional insurance, which is contingent cargo, general liability, and auto liability. Just a little synopsis of my company, my tax form, and the credit, the customer's credit profile.
Okay, you have your bond, your surety bond and trust fund, your operating authority, your W-9, and then a profile of your company, what you're about, and things like that, and then the credit app from the factoring company, so that you can run a credit check on the shipper.
Correct, and my broker shipper agreement.
And of course, the contract, obviously, right? The broker shipper agreement, right? So now, how long was the process take from the time that you sent the packet out to the time that you heard something from the shipper?
Well, this new shipper, I sent the I had the conversation first, and they said after the conversation, well, send me over your packet, and that was about 2 days ago.
Okay, so let me stop you there for a second. Brooke Hall, you have a question about that? Brooke, you have your hand raised.
After you're finished with her.
Was it something that we were talking about, or?
No, I have different questions.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's not related to what? I thought it may roll into what we were talking about. No, go ahead and ask it. Let me just hear. I can probably kind of interrelate it. What was the question?
Okay. All right. So I was asking about the transition process after you get the shipper. Like, for example, like what kind of shipper packet can I send him, or where can I locate a shipper packet.
Oh, yeah,
Does-
so it's kind of related to this. So yeah,
It is? Oh,
it is. We're right. We're right at the point. So let me see here.
or if you have an example.
We do. Have you been in our members portal to see?
I need to go through it.
You haven't navigated everything that we have here back here?
No, I haven't navigated everything because I was just going through the list to see that we have everything set up for the company. So I haven't looked at that.
Okay. We log in real quick. So under packet types, under module 1, are templates of the broker shipper packet and what the contents of that is, and the broker carrier packets and the contents of those. So if you look at the packet types, you'll be able, if you go through this page, you'll be able to see templates with actual PDF and Word documents where you can download and edit for yourself. Okay.
Okay,
So this is the area that you probably want to live in, right? While you're-
right now, yeah.
yeah. So okay. So is that it? Is that good? You good?
Yeah, another question too.
Okay.
I just want to know, how do you kind of know what to charge when it comes on to rates?
Okay.
Yeah.
So what we do, what I do is I give it advice a little bit. Brokers charge like their margins are between 15 to about 20% starting out. So let's say, for example, if you get a $5,000 tender, and this is going to roll back around to Camille too. If you get a $5,000 tender from a shipper, a customer, so you can either accept or reject a tender if you don't want to take, because once you take the tender, then you got to move the freight. You're responsible for moving the freight. But if you accept that tender at $5,000, let's say you mark off 20% of that. 20% of $5,000 is how much? For all you math gurus.
$1,000.
1,000. I'm great. Say, wait a minute, you guys gonna be broker. You gotta be snap. This is money, right? So 20%. All you gotta do is say 20% times 5,000. That's $1,000. So that's what you could potentially make. So $1,000. So you subtract 1,000 from the 5,000 tender. Now remember, you're gonna always invoice your shipper for the amount of the tender, which is $5,000. You're trying to broker that load and make some money, a profit. So you take off 20% off of that, and then you repost that load or put it on the load boards or sell it to the carriers or broker it for,
Right.
let's say, 4,000, right? So 1,000 from 5,000 is how much is left after you take your 1,000 off the top, 4,000. But when you post that load, you're not going to post it at 4,000. You may post it at 3,500 to kind of give yourself a little wiggle room with the carriers. But you can only do that if the market dictates that the rates are right around 3,500, which is a fair rate for the carrier for that particular type of load, commodity, equipment type that it goes on, and all the other factors that's involved in that. Let's say that it is. Let's say you got a dry-van load, a $5,000 tender from a shipper. You took 20% off the top, so you got 4,000 to play with. You put it on the load board for 3,500 because the spot market rate for that particular lane and equipment type and commodity dictates it's between 3,300 to 3,700, right? You put it at 35, post it on a load board, and you start getting carriers calling you trying to wiggle some more money out of you. Remember, your cap is how much? Your cap is, you don't want to go above how much?
4,000.
4,000. You don't want to go above 4,000. You got 1,000 already in your pocket, right? You don't want to go above the 4,000 when you exactly kill, but 4K. So you get a carrier calling, you say, hey man, I see you got this van load going from Norfolk to Atlanta for for 3,500. I can do it, man. I got a truck. You know how carriers talk, right? I got a truck empty right now, man. We could be there right now. He's empty. He just got offloaded. He's just doing his reset hours, and he could pick it up for 37 or 36.50, right? So, and as a broker, you still can make that decision if you want to do that still. Even if you do it at 37, you capped it at 4,000, you still made an extra with the 1,000 that you have in your pocket. You still made an extra what? 300 because 30,
300.
you know what I'm saying? So now you got 1,300 in that load now. Because remember, when you invoice the shipper, you're invoicing them for 5,000. Either you're invoicing them directly or your factoring company is going to do it once you get all the paperwork in from the carrier and you leverage that through your factoring company, and they advance you and then you pay the carrier, right? So you got 13 in it now. So that's kind of how it's like baby steps kind of work, but there's other circumstances, but that's how it works. That's how you get your money out of that. But you got to be familiar with the lane, the market, the spot market for that particular equipment type, where the lane is running, what is paying at that point in time. Spot market means what the broker is paying to the truck or the carrier or the trucking company, the rate, the average rate. And you can look, you got load board resources that show you spot market rates. For example, we look at DAT power, look at the loads, and you as a broker, you will have access to load boards that will provide you resources in real time to show you examples. So we can look at van rate, and the lane that we said was Norfolk, Virginia, and we said to Atlanta, right? Just let's say pick it up. What's today? Let's say it's picking up Friday. It's end of or Thursday. Just throwing it out there, just to see just to give some results, just to get a spot market. So right now, here it is, broker to carrier spot. That's what this is, broker to carrier spot market, including the fuel surcharge, 66 cents per mile this week. So what does that mean? Fuel. So this is what's called an all-in rate. Okay, it's not a line haul rate, it's an all-in rate. And the difference between a line haul rate and an all-in rate is that the all-in rate includes a fuel surcharge to help the carrier mitigate their fuel prices. In this case, it's 66 cents. So how do you know how much the fuel, how do you know what the broker is paying for the fuel? Well, you take that 66 cents per mile and you multiply it times the miles on that load, 566 in this case, the trip miles. So 566 times 66 cents per mile. And the fuel prices fluctuates according to the Department of Energy and all these other circumstances. And it's higher now. The reason why normally it's like 30 cents a mile or 34 cents, but not. The reason why it's higher, obviously, because the fuel prices are higher because of the Ukraine-Russian war. So, outside circumstances dictate inside situations. So external circumstances, I meant to say it like that. So 66 cents times 566 miles. So the brokers is providing an extra $373.56 fuel surcharge along with the line haul rate. So again, the difference between a line haul and an all-in rate is that the all-in rate includes the fuel surcharge. So an all-in rate is the line haul plus the fuel surcharge. If there was not a fuel surcharge included in this spot market listing, it would just be a line haul, right? It wouldn't have a fuel surcharge, okay? So that's the difference, so you guys will know. And when and the reason why it's good to know that is because when you're talking to shippers and they ask you to do a bid, a lane bid or a quote, a rate quote, you can ask them, well, is this, how do you want the quote? Do you want an all-in or do you want a line haul? Or can I include an all-in quote or a line haul? Or can I include fuel surcharge in it? And you best believe these days you might want to ask them that because that helps the carrier. The more you ask a shipper for an all-in, to give them an all-in type of quote, the better it is for the carrier because you are thinking about your carrier now because you are including a fuel surcharge to help them mitigate their fuel prices. So it's probably the better way to go these days, right? To do an all-in quote as opposed to just a line haul, right? So but this is the broker to spot. And the average for this lane, for this equipment type, drive in going in this direction, Norfolk to, and we got many lanes, many directions, a lane is, for those who don't know, it's just simply from the origin to the destination. That's the lane, and however many number of stops in between, so that's that. Okay. Did that help?
Okay, thank you.
All
Yes,
right.
it did.
Okay. So that circles back to Miss Camille. If Miss Camille is still here. Are you still here, Miss Camille? Yes, you are.
I'm here.
Okay, I'm like, did she leave me? Man. So got your shipper, sent them the packet. Now, did the shipper send you an agreement for you to sign for them?
No, not yet. I haven't received anything as of yet. I'm waiting.
Okay, so that's the one. So the shipper that you do have under the agreement, did they send you something to sign? Or did
Yes.
did they just sign yours?
I signed theirs and they signed mine.
Okay, so and I'm assuming this is Grant, right?
Yes. Mhm.
Okay. So now they send you the tenders, right? They send you tenders, or they have you, they may have emailed you a whole plethora of lanes to bid on.
Well, they work a little different. They have a load board that you can go into and look at the different loads that they have posted.
So they have a private load board.
I don't think it's private.
Okay.
It's not private.
Okay.
I say that because if you Google the company, you can go right into the website and the load board is right there.
Okay. Okay. So then you just, are you cherry picking certain lanes based off of the type of carriers you have and where it's going, or how are you doing your?
Yeah. Well, I've built a relationship with one of the dispatchers or coordinators, and like this morning, I sent her an email about 5 o'clock in the morning, asking her what lanes or what loads she has, for the next 2 days.
Okay.
This way, it gives me enough time to post to get a carrier.
Okay. All right. So your process. So what we're doing, guys, we're walking through the day in the life of a freight broker in real time. At what Above Ground Logistics, correct? This is Camille, the freight broker from Above Ground Logistics, and her shipper. She gets loads from the shipper, a mulch shipper, and I think some of the clients of Walmart, Home Depot,
Lowe's,
Scott's. So, okay. So, and these are short runs, but multiple times, right? You can run them multiple times in a day, possibly.
Yes, the carrier that I have, he runs maybe 2 a day. It depends on how he feels. Today he's running 3.
Okay.
So he probably started about 4 o'clock this morning. He likes to get there early. And so he's already loaded by 6. And
So
then
what's the site? The site is grantmulch.com.
Grant County Mulch.com.
Grant County Mulch. Okay, so let's Google that. I think Irwin sent that to me, but
Yeah, you may have it.
Grant County Mulch in Doswell, right? Well, they got places all over the country, but
Yeah, they have. But if you go to if you go into their.
okay, so they pretty much operate over here towards the East Coast, so that most of their clients are all over, right? But the main focus.
Maryland, New Jersey, Pennsylvania.
Okay. All right. And Mr. Nelson's also dealing with them as well, I believe. And I think someone else on here. So
I think Donald as well.
yeah, Donald as well. So yeah. And I think
there may be others. I don't know.
Right. So a day in the life of a freight broker continued, right? So let's say you get a lane, you win a bid, or you get a lane from them. Now you have to do what? You have to find a carrier, right? Is that the order of operation?
Yes. She tells me, well, first, I usually get the rates. I send her what, I bid on the rates. And I can make sure they're okay with the rates that I'm gonna post. And then I start the posting.
Okay. And you post them on whatever load boards you have an account with, correct?
Yes, I'm posting them on that.
Do you also go on social media to like Facebook owner operator groups, let them know you're a
Yes.
brokerage, you have lanes? So you just don't limit yourself, to just the load boards, correct?
No, and like I post today in a flatbed group on Facebook. So yes, I use social media as well.
Okay, now, Mr. Donald, he uses a resource we have back here. Well, you can get a subscription for it, e-carrier check. Mr. Donald, your e-carrier check seems to be working well for you, correct?
Yes, it does. I have no issues at all with it.
As far as fund, so if you get a lane, if you get some shipments from a shipper, all you have to do now is just search e-carrier check for the carriers in that location and then reach out to them.
That's correct. You can go by location or by lane, find carriers and just start placing phone calls. And if they're interested, you got a perfect match.
So wait a minute, this stuff's starting to sound easy. This whole brokering stuff.
Oh, it's not.
From the description, it's starting to sound easy.
Oh,
It's
no.
not easy at all.
It's not.
All right, I just want to kill the misconceptions. But, so after you find a carrier, so now you get a carrier. So now you have to, before you give a carrier your customer's shipment, you need to qualify the carrier, correct?
Yes, you have to
And
you have to onboard the carrier.
you have to onboard them, qualified onboarding. So you're checking things like their insurance, their authority. You have a broker carrier packet that you send to the carrier, Camille?
Yes, I did.
And what are the contents of your broker carrier packet?
Oh gosh. A snippet about my company, my surety bond, my authority, my W-9, my broker carrier packet.
Yeah, I'm going down to our section here. So you got a carrier profile,
Yes.
okay? You have the broker carrier agreement,
Yep.
okay? And then you require from the carrier a copy of their operating authority because you want to make sure that they are authorized to transport freight according to the FMCSA,
Correct.
okay? A copy of their certificate of insurance because you want to make sure that they are qualified or they have enough coverage insurance to cover what they're transporting, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Their W-9 because you want to make sure that they are a legitimate company with an EIN number attached to their business, correct?
Correct. Correct.
Okay. All right. And then if they have a factory company, they're going to run a credit check on you just like you did on the shipper, correct?
Right. So my carrier, he doesn't care. He doesn't factor.
Okay. So do you offer payment options? Do you factor your loads, your shipments from your customer?
I do.
Do you offer
Sure.
quick pay?
They don't care. He doesn't, he's like whenever.
Okay. Will you be offering quick pay or ACH transfer in the future for other carriers? Just something to think about.
Yeah.
That's all. Okay.
Yes, yes, yes.
Okay. All right. So I'm not sure about your sending a copy of your broker authority or your surety bond to the carrier, but because they can look you up. It shouldn't even be that shouldn't even be necessary.
All you need to do is send the broker carrier packet. It has your MC number on it. That's all you need to send. You don't need to send anything else.
Right.
Okay.
Right. So that's two things you can probably take out: your surety bond and your broker authority. Now you send that to your customer because they need to qualify you. So when the customers are qualifying you, then you need to show them qualifying documents like your broker authority and your bond. But when you are qualifying carriers, you don't have to send them your credentials because you are qualifying them. You need to see theirs, right?
Correct.
And they can
Correct.
easily look you up in the in your profile when you send them a profile of your company and your just brief information. They can go on Safer or go on wherever and look you up. So, and that's for everybody else, just as a future reference. And thank you, Mr. Nelson. Mr. Nelson piggybacked off of that. So that's just an extra step that you probably don't need to, because you'd be surprised. People like to steal other people's information, right? It happens. Do not think that do not still happen. That does happen a lot. So people could be acting like they're above ground dispatch. You're like, man, there's a same company name like me. And you'd be like, wait a minute, that's me. Somebody's impersonating me, right? So now when you qualify the carrier, so we're in the progression of a broker, right? You've gotten your shipments from the shipper, you've gotten the tenders, you won the bids and won the lanes, you took possession of the freight, you said, I want that one, I want ownership of that lane.
Mhm.
Qualify the carriers. How long is your process takes to qualify your carriers, Camille?
I take my time, making sure everything is intact. So it takes about
Oh, okay, so do you have time? Do you have time to do that in regards to the time that the shipper requires you to have their freight moved?
Well, for this particular boat, Irwin's freight, I usually book my loads out a day in advance. So I'm already. Okay, this must be my carrier. Oh,
Okay.
sorry. It sounds like a carrier's calling. Sorry.
Okay, she got it. Look, she's so busy, she got a carrier calling her now. So explain, can someone explain the credit? I want a broker to explain the credit application process. So with the credit application, Charlotte, are you referring to on the broker to the shipper side or on the carrier to the broker side, or in general, the credit application process?
Both sides.
Both sides. So when you are getting a customer as a broker, if you have a factoring company, then you want your factoring company to do a credit check on that shipper, because not all shippers are good shippers. They want to check their paydex. They want to check to make sure that the shippers are what's called credit worthy and factorable in order for the factoring company to trust them enough to extend you that advance and then wait that period of time that the shipper normally pays anyway, net 30, net 45, net 60 days, right? That's what the factoring company do. They provide the cash flow up front to their client, either a broker client or a carrier client. So that's how factoring companies work. So now when you onboarding carriers who have factoring companies, the carrier's factoring company, which is the client of the factoring company for the carrier, is the carrier. So they're going to do a credit check of you, just like your factoring company did a credit check of the shipper, the customer. So they're going to run a credit check on you to make sure that your credit score and your credit rating are favorable to the factoring company in such a way to extend and allow credit to the carrier to pay them in advance, and then wait whatever terms you have as a broker, you get paid by your customer to pay the factoring company. Because when you get approved and you are favorable with factoring companies, then they will shoot over what's called a notice of assignment to assign payment from in the case of the shipper to the broker, from the shipper to the broker to the shipper to the factoring company. In the case of the carrier, it's from the broker to the carrier to the broker to the factoring company. Remember, the clients of the factoring companies are either the brokers or the carriers, depending on which way you go with that. Okay. But that's the credit process. The credit application of the credit process is done through the factoring companies. It's only a way for the factory companies to determine if the people that they're going to be dealing with is credit worthy in such a way that they can give advances to the people, to their clients, either the broker or the carrier. So, okay.
So that credit application is only sent to the broker to run the credit check.
From a carrier side, yes, it is. If you are onboarding a carrier, and the carrier has a factory company, then the credit application will be sent to you to make sure that you are credit worthy as a broker. If you are dealing with a shipper as a broker and you have a factory company, then your factory company's credit application will be sent to that shipper to make sure that the shipper is favorable in the eyes of your factory company in order to extend you a line of credit so that you can keep pace with paying your carriers for delivering those loads. Okay.
Okay.
All right. Big Bag Bella.
Hi, Mr. Charles. How are you? Hello,
Hello, how are you?
everyone. I'm
I'm
good.
tired. Just get back from a 10-hour drive from Dayton, Ohio to Norfolk, Virginia.
I appreciate your dedication, that's for sure. On this credit application question, just a follow-up. So if we have various carriers and various brokers shippers checking our credit, how does that impact us as far as inquiries go?
So I think there's soft inquiries. Correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. Nelson. I don't think they're like,
It's not personal credit.
yeah, it's not. It's business credit.
No, it's business credit.
But starting out, like I have personal credit. I don't have business credit yet because I'm just starting.
Okay, you've got to build business credit.
Right,
Because
we touched on that a couple weeks ago, but I'm literally just starting, so I don't have business credit yet.
Okay, once again, in order to be a freight broker, you have to start building your business credit portal.
Okay,
Because everything in this business, on this side of the business, as far as freight brokering, is dealt with on your business credit, not your personal credit. There are a
okay,
few things that you get as far as your bond and things such as that are based on your personal credit. But when it comes to moving freight back and forth between the carrier and the shipper, all of that's going to be based on business credit. And so therefore you have to start building you a business credit portal.
okay. Okay.
Okay.
Oh, and just a second question, it's kind of unrelated, but I'm just curious. So the shippers, how come they don't just post these loads on the load board themselves? Like what, is there some type of law or regulation that prevents them from doing that?
Well, shippers do not have, they're too busy managing multi-million-dollar facility and moving freight all over the country. They do not have time to
Okay.
post loads on the load. That's what brokers are for. That's why they hire brokers to do that for them and they pay them for that service. Now, it's just not something that I haven't seen.
Can I piggyback on that, Charles?
Yes, sir.
Well, what normally happens is shippers have thousands and thousands of loads to move every day. And in most cases, they're contracted loads. And when you have loads that come back to the spot market, can you imagine, say, for instance, if a shipper has 1,500 loads that he needs to move a day that comes back to the spot market? Can you imagine him dealing with 1,500 carriers on a day-to-day basis and probably
Right.
having 10,000 calling him a day?
Right.
Right. That makes
Therein
sense.
lies the broker. Right. Right.
Okay.
And then Kilbert just mentioned a Duns and Bradstreet number. So there's 3 business credit ones. Trans Credit, Ansonia, and Duns and Bradstreet. Those are the 3 types. Most people get DNB number, Duns and Bradstreet, because that's the only one that they're familiar with. But there are 2 others, Ansonia and Trans Credit. So, and then you can go to nav.com, check your stuff. Like, so Kilbert is making good points here in the chat. You guys read up on the chat here. He's making some good points here. So,
Okay. Thank you both for answering my questions. Appreciate that.
yeah, no problem. Brooke.
Okay, so I want you to explain a little bit more about the business credit. Are you saying that I should go ahead and get that? Because I mean, being that we're new, I know when the carriers run your MC, they're not gonna see any credit at all on their or MC number or anything like that. And sometimes that kind of hinders you from working with the person.
Okay, business credit is different from personal credit.
Okay.
Personal credit goes all the way up to 900. Business credit goes up to 100. And basically what ends up happening is that you have to start building you a paydex score. And that's through a business portal. Now, most everybody starts with the B&D number, and then they get their SAMS registration. Okay, and then they start building business credit. Business credit is built off of net 30 accounts, and then from net 30 to net 60, and then from net 60 to what are they? Merchants accounts. So basically, what you're going to have to do is start building your business credit with small accounts. They'll give you a line of credit in most cases, anywhere between $1,015 to $2,500. You have to purchase things within those accounts and pay them within a 30-day period. Those are considered as net 30s. Okay, and you have to do that on a continuous basis the whole time that you're doing business in order to maintain a decent paydex score. They want to know that you're on a business side, that you're credit worthy when someone gives you money, that you're going to pay it back. If it's a net 30, basically, if you purchase something, you get the bill in 10 days or so, you pay it as soon as you get it.
Right, and let me say that. Let me say this before you continue, Mr. Nelson. You
Mhm.
pay it in full. You don't make a payment. You pay it in full.
You pay it in full.
Right.
And so therefore you began to build a paydex score.
Correct.
And then as you obtain about 6 to 7 net 30 accounts, then after about 90 days, your score starts to show up. And then you go from there to 60-day net 60 accounts. And as you continue to build, then before you know it, you should get that paydex score up between 86 and 100 in a matter of about say 3 to 4 months.
So let me ask you a quick question, Mr. Nelson.
Mhm.
How long does it take? What's the process or the frequency, or how long does it take to transition from a net 30 to a net 60 account? After how many net 30 payments do you make to transition to a net 60 account?
Well, actually, in most cases, they're not going to start showing up between 60 up to 60 days or so. Anyway, okay. And then once they start showing up in about 90 days, you should have enough built up with their net 30 accounts to start transitioning to net 60 accounts, which is somewhat like retail accounts such as Home Depot and such as Lowe's and things like that. Those are net 60 accounts, and then from there, retail accounts, and just and possibly business credit cards after you get your net 30 established. But all this is basically based off of your business. You no longer use your Social Security card to secure any credit on your business side.
Okay.
You use your DUNS number, and that's how you start to try to secure credit. Because if you use your business and your Social Security, you're going to use your EIN, your tax number, and your DUNS number to secure credit. Don't ever on your business side use your personal Social Security number.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Gilbert, I'm sure you want to add to this. You got your hand up, or you had a question?
Sorry, I was muted. I was just going to add to it from my experience.
Okay.
Because I've been working on my business credit since November. And the way I look at it is tiers of it. So tier 1, tier 2, tier 3, like what Mr. Nelson was saying, as far as your net 30 accounts are your beginner accounts, that tier 1, where I was saying like Quill and different companies like that. And my approach to the whole thing was trying to convert everything that I spend out monthly, my monthly expenses, into a business account somewhere. So Quill, I use like for my household goods, toilet paper, paper towels. I try to spend at least $200 or $300 a month with them and pay it off early versus the 30-day term. So I try to pay it off in 15 days to 20 days. And then like I moved to tier 2, where I got like my fleet cards, my gas cards, and some of these accounts, like Mr. Nelson was saying, you want to use your EIN always. But to speed it up for me, I learned the hard way where I PG'd some of them, which is that soft pull on my personal credit so they can check it, but it doesn't show up on my personal credit for like my fleet cards. And then they give you bigger balances. Like I got 10,000 for one and then 8,000 for another. And what I do is just my weekly gas between me and my wife. So I'm spending about $400 a month on my fleet cards, but all that then just reports back to my business account. I'm having a struggle because I'm not spending enough money a month. So my scores, I have a business profile, but my like Dun and Bradstreet number hasn't reported yet. So I just kind of look at it like that. I would just wanted to share my experience that anything that I'm spending money out on, like I just try to convert my internet and phone to a business account and take it out of my personal account. So I'm just really trying to convert everything over to my business name under my EIN and my DUNS and stuff like that.
Can I ask you something about those fleet cards? Did you get those fleet cards on your business credit or did you get them on your personal credit?
On my business credit. They did a PG where it's a soft pull on my personal credit, but it shows up on my business sites under my EIN.
Okay, you have to be careful with that as far as tax purposes, because anytime you mix your any part of business with your personal, in the long run, you're basically busting your corporate bail. And so at any given time, if anybody sees any inquiries that tie the two together and you have a situation where they're going to come after you for something, that's the opening to get at all of your personal. So you have to be really careful with that.
Gotcha. I was a little concerned about that.
Yeah, be careful with that.
I just tried to speed up the process. I got you though.
Okay.
I have a patience problem. You'll learn over this time. We'll be in this course together.
Okay.
Yeah, corporate veil. Look that word up, understand it. So yes, sir. And LaDonna, you guys have your business credit course on Saturdays, right? And you talk about the different tiers, correct, LaDonna? Okay. Tier 1, tier 2, so tier 1, like Mr. Tilbert said, tier 1 is just a little small cars. Tier 2 is what's tier 3, if I may ask?
Like your business credit cards. That's why I look at it. I guess somebody else can share as well.
Okay, so I got a buddy that's I need to bring him on here because he's a commercial realtor and he does a lot of business credit.
What you can do to go into tier 3, say for instance, you got some friends that drive trucks, and from time to time they have situations where they break down and they need to go parts and get parts and things. Okay, you can apply for credit at places like tire distributors, places like parts houses, try to get lines of credit per se with major trucking sales companies that sell in repair trucks. In other words, you're going to build those things, and if you've got friends that have trucks, utilize them, let them use them to repair themselves, and then pay you so that you can pay the account. I mean, so that's getting major business credit.
Okay, so this is a clever way to establish credit, or a strategic way. I guess clever is kind of deceptive word, in my opinion.
Right.
Kind of a strategic way to leverage business credit to get your brokerage.
Right. I mean, it's just like if you got a Granger account, and Granger's one of the net 30s, a lot of the ladies in the class are not going to have use for power saws or tools or anything like that. But if you got a friend that needs one, purchase it, let him pay you for it, then you turn around and pay your account. Okay. Same difference if you've got a tire account. You don't have a truck, but you got friends that drive trucks. It's time for him to buy a new set of tires. You say, hey, I can get you these new set of tires on your tire accounts. You just go have them put on, and then instead of you paying them, let me charge them, and then you pay me. Then I'll go ahead and pay my account.
You know what? That's genius, actually. You said that because it helps you build yours. They're purchasing it through you. They're leveraging your account, and then you just paying the account off just to leverage building the credit up for your brokerage.
And then at the same time, you building a rapport with drivers, because it may be a situation where you may have a driver that doesn't have money to buy a tire at one point in time. He may be stuck out there on the road. And he call you and say, hey man, I'm stuck out here on the road. You know, I need a tire, but I don't have money in my account to get one. You know, can you help me?
Right.
If you got an account with a tire service center with the fleet, and you can send them out and put the tire on, of course, you know, you can charge it back out of his settlement. But I mean, there's ways to make it work for you.
Wow. So that, go ahead, Gilbert. You got your hand raised?
I was just gonna say that was a good point, because the other thing about business credit is the big balances help you on the business side, where on the personal side, a big balance might hurt your credit score. On the business side, it actually looks good if you're charging a lot and paying it off.
Right.
Yeah. Good point. Good point. So hopefully this business credit concept and needing to have it established for your brokerage is helpful, that you guys are hearing in this part. So it looks good in the eyes of the shippers, the eyes of the factory companies, the carriers. It makes your company looks more favorable to the different people that you're going to be dealing with.
Just say your credit score is running about a 76, 77, 78, hadn't gotten there over that 80% mark. You know, if you find a situation where carriers gonna say, well, man, you know, your credit score is not up or whatever, you know, I'll tell you what I'll do. You know, let's say if I pay you cash on the run, you know, after you get it picked up, I'll pay you the first half of it, you know, and then when you get it delivered, you send me the DR, I'll pay you the second half. That way we're not having to go through factory companies. But at the same time, since I paid you, would you go ahead and fill out this slip so we can send it back into the factory company that says that I did business with you. So that's another way to help get your credit rating up and help get your rating up with your factoring companies in your score up. You know, sometimes you have to spend a little money. And I make this suggestion all the time. Don't always bite off the big piece trying to get this accomplished. If you can find a carrier and it's a 500-mile load and you can run it for $700, if you got $700 in your account, do it that way. If it's a situation where it's a $500 load, you know, do it that way. Instead of, you know, having to come up with a $3,500 payout. You know, either way it goes, the fact that it goes through and goes back to your factory company as you paying in a certain amount of time, it still helps you to get your score up, get your paydex score up.
So LaDonna just said also there's a lot of net 30 accounts. Just make sure that they report to the major credit bureaus, the major business credit bureaus, right? The Ansonias, TransCredit, and Duns and Bradstreet, right? So those are the three major ones. So, all right. Anything else on? So this is needed actually to be spoken about a little bit, because as brokers, you want to obviously start the process, especially if you're brand new. You want to begin off. So what's tier one again? For those who, let's circle back around for the new people. What's tier one when you're establishing business credit? What does that involve? What does tier one involve? And I think Gilbert broke it down a little bit, but tier one involves net 30 accounts, right? Net 30 accounts is tier one?
Yes, your net 30 accounts.
Okay, so an example of net 30 accounts are like Shirtsees, Quill, Granger, the little depot, Home Depots and Lowe's cards, little credit cards like that.
And these accounts, they're more open to working with new businesses. So they're more easier to secure.
Okay, and then so that's so you still pay it off within 30 days, and like you suggested, pay it off maybe by day 15. Don't wait to day 28, 29. You want to get it paid off sooner than later, right? In that 30-day period.
That's true, because Quill reports weekly. Some of them report every 30 days. But Quill is one of those companies, they report weekly. So I charge stuff on Monday and pay them off, you know, the next week.
Okay. Okay. All right. So that's tier one. Charlotte, you have a question?
Well, I see you guys are talking about credit based on having vehicles. I don't have any vehicles. So I guess that's a gas card, is it?
Office supply.
Office supplies. So we're not talking about credit based on having vehicles.
Okay,
It's not just-
okay.
it's not
I
just-
thought it was a
No, you
gas
don't need
card.
you don't need a truck. You can still get that's tier 2, like gas and fleet cars. And you can still leverage those gas and fleet cars without having a vehicle. You know, you can let trucking companies or carriers, use the cards and then you pay the account because it's your account to establish the credit. Yeah, you don't need a truck to get a gas card.
Okay, so what they'll be using my credit, but they would have to, I don't know if I would want to go that route.
Correct me if I'm wrong, don't some brokers offer like fuel cards and things like that as leverage to get some carriers and stuff? Or
Yeah, some brokers do because, a lot of times you can pick up a factoring company that will offer you a fuel card within that. And then you can also do fuel advances through your factoring company for your carriers.
Okay.
yeah. So these are
Okay.
good strategies. These are good strategies.
I mean,
Right.
you've got to establish that credit. I mean, I know that you may seem like it's a little skeptical to you, but you have to establish that credit if you intend to operate.
Okay.
Unless you've got a pocket full of money.
No, I don't. My factoring company did say they report to the credit bureau as well.
Well, your factory company will report to the credit bureau. You get your load boards and put them into your business portal. They're net 30 accounts, whether they consider themselves as or not, because you have to pay them every 30 days. If you got a TMS, it's 30 days. If you're using 3 or 4 different load boards, they're 30 days. So you can put those on. You can put those on too.
So you may be using net 30 accounts and you don't even realize it. You're paying monthly subscriptions to these resources.
Yeah, to that and then Axel.
Yeah, so now you're looking at it from a business standpoint and may not even know it, right? You can,
right,
and that could be a technique to, so that's tier 1. So now what is tier 2? Tier 2 is like the gas and fleet cards. I think Cuba expounded on that a little bit.
Yeah, well, I have my tier 2 is my fleet cards. I have Shell and BP. Then I have like a Staples, Office Depot accounts where I get like my office supplies and stuff like that from.
Okay.
Now you do know Quail is a division of Office Depot, right?
Yeah, I was trying to get multiple people reporting. Like I got Staples and Office Depot. I don't even use Staples. I want that balance reporting.
So if they're together, it's only going to be one report, man. It's not going to be twice.
Really? Shouldn't have told me that.
Right, because if they're like a subsidiary or a branch of.
It could be, Charles. I mean, because if he did it on the business side with Office Depot, now Office Depot offers you one on the business side that has like you have to charge up to 10 to 15, I think $100 a month or something like that on the business side. It's a little bit more. It's a little bit more out there than it is per se the Quill, because they give you like I think it's $2,500 a month balance leeway on Quill, but Office Depot is like $15,000 or so. I guess that's more or less for major office.
Okay. So LaDonna, we're having a business credit broker class now, like you do on Saturdays on the dispatch side. So, which is fine. It's good information though. Someone, Big Bella said, do I need to get a DUNS number at the first step? That would be a good idea. So what you have to, yeah.
If you've established yourself, yes. Everything else in place, EIN, registration with your company name and everything else, then that's the next step.
Yeah. And go to duns.com or you just apply. There's no fee for DUNS, is there? You just got to go to the site and apply, right? Or is there a fee?
No, there's no fee, but they're gonna
Yes,
try to
It says there's a fee if you need it within 5 days. Otherwise, it could take 30 days.
Oh, okay, yeah. Well, I mean, if you're in a rush to get it, then I guess you would have to pay for that urgency. But yeah, you don't. If you're not in a rush, because you're establishing other things anyway, so I wouldn't pay for it
Hey Charles,
personally.
can I say something?
Yes, go ahead, Gilbert.
If Bella, if you apply for it and say that you are a government contractor, that's how I did mine. That they will give you your DUNS number within 24 or 48 hours. But once you get that DUNS number, like Mr. Nelson was saying, you have to take that, go to SAMS.gov, and you can register with SAMS.gov, and then you will be set. But if you don't say that you are a government government contractor, it will take 30 days for them to issue you your DUNS number, unless you're gonna pay that fee.
Okay, but if I'm saying I'm a government contractor and I'm not.
Just saying that you're gonna bid on contracts. So
Oh,
like with SAM.gov, you can register with SAM.gov and you can just bid on, I mean, you don't have to bid on the contract, but you'll just have the ability to bid on those contracts.
okay, good to know. Thank you.
And what a lot of people don't know, that if you get a DUNS number and you don't register it with that SAMS, it's gonna go void after a certain amount of time.
Yeah. So, Mr. Gilbert, are you so you're going the government route? You going through SAMS and stuff like that, registering?
I am. I ran into a hiccup because of my address, so I had to switch everything. I had one of those virtual addresses, so I switched it over to my physical address.
Okay, so let's address that real quick too. So what's the whole idea? What's the whole concept of a virtual address? It just puts a virtual number. It replaces your physical address with something that's virtual to give the appearance that it's physical, correct? Or how does that work, guys? Let's talk about that a little bit.
What I had that one postal, which is different from like Regis. Regis, you can get like the office space, which I think the SAMS will accept those. But the one I signed up for was like it was just a mail service. So I just had all my business mail going to that place, and then I have it shipped from that place to my physical house. But SAMS won't accept those type setups.
No. So what ends up happening is, Charles, is that say for instance, you're using your house address. If a company Googles that address, it's going to show up. Your house is going to show up. If they're doing Google Earth, your house is going to show up. But if you have a virtual address and they Google that address, if it's a brick and mortar facility, that brick and mortar facility is going to show up. And it doesn't matter what name is on the door, because it may be a building with suites in it. And you may be leasing a suite or an office within that facility.
Okay.
And so when you go to doing business, as far as going back to do business with banks and things such as that, I mean, they want to see that you're a legitimate business instead of, even if you're doing legitimate business from your home, they want to see that you're a legitimate business, with a brick and mortar type of forefront to your company.
Got it. Yeah. Okay. So this is something else for new brokers to consider too. Then have brick and mortar physical address at your home, or a virtual address in front of that physical address, establishing your business from the beginning, LLC, EIN, done, SAMS registration, and then building business credit. So these are the things that you can establish from the onset at the same time while you are getting your brokerage in order as far as documentation, paperwork, and going out to ship it. So there's a lot to do simultaneously, right? So we this actually is important, to be honest with you, getting these things established from the onset for new brokers. So most new brokers, I don't want you guys to think, well, get your broker authority, get your broker license, and go after a shipper and kind of like good luck. Oh, let me ask the
Charles, I can show you what mine looks like if you want to Google it.
Yeah, let's do that real quick. Now, your virtual address?
Yeah, it's 2909 East Arkansas Lane, Arlington, Texas, 76010.
Right there?
Yep.
Arkansas Lane. So does it, so what,
Google my name, Switchback Freight Brokers. It should come up 2909. In the building.
right there? So you're in this building
Yeah, Neuro Suites.
and that's perfectly legit, right?
Perfectly legit. Suite C.
Suite C. Okay. So there's a virtual address. So it's not a home address, but it's a virtual address, and that's so basically you're leasing an office space in there.
Actually, I have the option. I have a home office, but that's my virtual. Now they do have the option to lease space in that facility, as far as offices, as far as conference rooms. It's basically a virtual office with probably, I guess, about 35, 40 different desks. As far as if you want desk space, if you want an office, then I think that's about 25 different offices. Conference room holds up to 1,500.
So what did you do? Like contact them and said you're considering using this location as a virtual address?
Well, it's just a virtual office itself.
Okay, it's just an option. It's just an option for a virtual office.
Yeah, it's an option for a virtual office. They list themselves as a virtual office, but it is an office facility that you can go in and actually rent you a physical office for $800 to $900 a month.
Got it. Okay. So that's another thing that brokers can do. Consider. Very
So
good.
when I'm Google, that comes up.
Right. So what are some good places to get a virtual address? We can just Google virtual addresses and it'll probably come up with different websites to consider. What's a popular one?
Regis.
Correct. Because Mr. Gilbert just mentioned that. And right here, $99 a month, Opus, virtual, Regis, iPostal. Those are the popular ones.
No, wouldn't do iPostal. iPostal is like a post office box.
Yeah, that's what I have now.
Yeah.
Stay away from that.
Stay away
Like
from
if
that.
you wanted to, find a virtual office in your area, you just Google virtual offices in Norfolk, Virginia, and it should bring up physical addresses plus visuals of what's available.
That's a good point. Virtual offices in Norfolk, Virginia. $45 a month with mail forwarding. Virtual offices. Here we go.
Just click on the top of where it says images, and it should show you what's available.
I had an iPostal in New Jersey for another business, and it looked like a high rise. So I guess it just depends on the location, what type of building will show up, or what type of building.
I can get a virtual office and still pay to use it to lease the space as my actual office, brick and mortar.
If you need an office within that virtual office, 9 times out of 10 they do have office space for lease, and it can be for daily, weekly, and monthly. Conference rooms and all.
Very good. And I can use it as a business expense. The business pays for it.
Absolutely.
Yep. Something to think about, guys. Hey, I might get one on overlooking the Elizabeth River here. Correct. If it shows a high. Yep.
So when you come out, we can do some commercials because there's a media room in that one.
Yes. I got a team coming out April 4th through the 6th coming out. Film team from Chicago. We're going to do some content on video when they come out. So yeah. So you guys can Google virtual offices in whatever area. Who else wants let's see, somebody said something about Atlanta, I think it was. Who had an idea of a virtual office? Or was thinking about one? I thought somebody was typing up something. What else? Oh, Charles Dow. Yeah. So very good. And then LaDonna, can I look yours up, LaDonna? And then Charlotte says, try Maryland, South Charleston, South Carolina. And then LaDonna is, her information is right here. So I'll open up Google again. Virtual office, and then put her address there. So LaDonna's, you got yours through Opus, LaDonna? Okay, she got hers through Opus. So yeah, she's out here. Interesting, okay. Do you use the physical? Do you go there physically and lease the space, or? She does, okay. Look at that. You guys are like super professional, okay. Got some professional brokers on here. All right, and then some Maryland and everyone. Let me copy this. And LaDonna made a good point. Let me copy this image and then go to the search on images. So I'm gonna go to images.google.com and see if it shows the image of it. And then put the address in there to see what pops up. There we go. Bam. So look at LaDonna looking all corporate. Look at this. Okay. Wow. $99, all inclusive, everything. Professional. Very good, guys. You guys are okay. That's what I'm talking about. Mr. Nelson. Donald, I know Donald's quiet. Donald, you got a virtual office?
No, I don't have one yet, but I am looking into it.
Okay. Okay, good. All right. What about Donald, Mr. Donald? Like business credit, how you working on that? You doing your business credit processes, or?
I've been working on that as well. I haven't really taken any action on it. My factoring company, they explained to me that they will report to Ansonia. So, and I do have a couple of factorable items sitting in queue right now. So I'm just basically working on that as well. So one day at a time.
Okay, great. So it's a process. So his factory company, one of the business credit bureaus, remember I said Ansonia, TransCredit, or Dun & Bradstreet. So they're reporting to Ansonia. So there we go.
Yeah, it may be reporting to all of them. I know Ansonia because that was the one that we did discussed when I inquired about it.
And then you're still moving your loads like crazy, huh? Or you still doing your thing over there, right?
Piece by piece, slow right now. I'm still growing.
Okay.
I still get a lot of calls though. I get calls all day, every day. Now it's just a matter of getting them to move at the rates that I have. That's the biggest challenge I'm facing.
Okay. Okay, very good. So I'm glad we're talking about this from a broker's perspective. I know some people are saying, well, I doubt if anybody's asking that question, like, what does this have to do with brokering? Well, you'd be surprised, right? You have to get things established in order to have your foundation in place, right? If you certain things you don't have in place, then it'll be difficult to get the things that you need, like customers, like carriers, right? You want to have your business credit, at least the process begun or started in establishing business credit, getting your EINs done, set up properly, and what's the workflow of that? What's the order of that process, right? And how to do it. So it's great that we have people who are in the process doing that can share their steps and successes and put you onto the learning curve, right? So that's very helpful. And also now we talked about tier 1, the net 30s, tier 2, the gas fleet cars like Shell, BP, Office Depot, Staples, and things like that. Tier 3, what's tier 3? I think Mr. Kilbert was breaking it down a little bit too. Tier 3 is what, like the big accounts?
Yes, I would say that's your business loans, your like Amex cards, like your big boy. That's your big boy world.
Okay, bigger loans like 40K, 100K, 50K, stuff like that.
Yeah, I would say anything above 50 to 100K. Because like right now, I got approved for like a 15K loan on a business side, but they wouldn't go no higher than that because I'm still so new, and my business credit is fairly new still.
So what would help in tier 3 if you have a good foundation in tiers 1 and 2? Would that help with tier 3?
Yes. So from my understanding, once you, like Mr. Nelson was saying, you get those payments reporting and you have that history of how many either trade lines you have or how many things you have reporting. And if those things are in a strong standing, then you get that paydex score and then the risk assessment. But then it goes back to, I think the years in business also come into play once you hit tier 3.
And your accounts receivable plays a big part in it too, what you're taking in
That too, yeah.
into your
Okay, so
account.
you mentioned a word that maybe somebody may not have heard before. Explain what a trade line is. What are trade lines?
Ooh, you're gonna put me on the spot. So
Or anyone, it doesn't have to be you, it could be Mr. Nelson, it could be anyone who's familiar.
So
LaDonna?
I would say, and then I'll let LaDonna or someone else, just your credit limit. That's the way I look at it. Like what that company is extending you would be like your trade line. And I could be completely wrong.
Now with a trade line, I've heard this concept too, because I got a buddy of mine that I've been knowing him for a while, but he's real popular online. Marcus, him 500, Marcus Barney. So he's on social media now doing his thing, but he talks about trade lines a lot where he would get these cards and then put them, he would make people authorized users, but don't physically give them the cards. He'll make them authorized users and then to build up his, I guess the credit with that. So, but Sky.
Hi, Mr. Charles in the chat. Yeah, I was going to give an example of kind of like a trade line. I know when I was young, my mother had put me on her American Express credit card. So when I went to purchase a luxury vehicle, they told me that due to my mom putting me on her credit card when I was 16, that gave me the credit I needed to purchase the vehicle. So it's just when somebody takes, and like right now, Mr. Charles could put me on one of his credit cards and, I don't have a card or anything, but it helps me build my credit.
So that's what Marcus was saying. He would make people authorized users on his good credit to build their credit up, and then he charged for that service. He'll charge them for that.
You can charge, and
you can make money off that. So you can make thousands of dollars by doing it. And then how long do they stay on it? And then before you take them off, just long enough to get their credit up to a certain credit rating, and then they're good to go, and then you take them off.
Yeah.
Right?
Another thing I recommend too, if any of you guys have kids at home that's 16, once they turn 16, everything you go out and buy on credit, you have them be your co-signer.
Okay, so now what would that do, Mr. Nelson? What would that?
Well, it is, if they're your co-signer, 16 years old, they're old enough to drive. So that means they have an ID, they have a driver's license, social security number. Everything that you buy, every payment that you make as a co-signer, it goes on their social security. It goes on their credit report. And so by the time they get 18 years old, if you paid all of your bills on time and you purchase things throughout that period of time, they have A1 credit when they leave high school. I built a house at 22 years old because my dad kept me on this credit from the time I was 16 years old.
Wow.
Yeah, just like I explained, Mr. Charles, same thing. That's what my mom did for me, and it really helped me out.
Right.
Okay, so that's
Is
basically
that
your
like selling trade lines?
yeah. Some people you said, do I know somebody selling trade lines?
No, I'm saying, is that like selling trade lines? You can buy trade lines.
And that's what it sounds like. So there's a concept out here where people will sell the ability to build your credit up by adding you as an authorized user on their credit cards or whatever that they have a credit with, just enough to get your credit, get you like to a certain credit score, because maybe you're trying to get something, but you don't have the credit score yet to get it. So you become an authorized user on someone else's card or whatever they have. And then your credit builds up because now you're listed as an authorized user on this. So now your credit score builds up, and then you can apply for things now because you have the credit to substantiate. And then the moment you get it, the person probably take you off their card because you got it now. You don't need to stay on my card no more. So, and then you charge for that. I don't know what the price points are or how that's done, but Google, yeah, it is crazy, right? Google him 500, Marcus Barney. If I add you guys probably be able to buy a Bentley or something. I don't know, but yeah, Google him 500, Marcus Barney, and he'll kind of break it down. But yeah, so it's just another way of leveraging. So credit is becoming like cash almost. Cash is kind of still king in a sense, but credit is like a close second. So yeah, because credit, you can take credit, and debt. You can take debt and credit and build wealth. In other words, the word debt used to be a bad word, right? But now if you leverage it correctly, and a good person that taught me that, I was in his school for a while. His name is Robert Kiyosaki. And Rich Dad Poor Dad, you may have heard of his series, right? But he leverages debt to build wealth. And the beauty of debt is you don't get taxed on debt, right? You don't get taxed on debt. So if you get a loan from a bank to purchase a home, you're not taxed on that because that's debt, right? But then all the money you make from the home, that's income, right? But you got it through debt. So there's so many ways to leverage it. And then now from a broker's perspective, you can probably apply the same concepts when you're starting your brokerage to build your not your personal credit, but your business credit, and to purchase materials, maybe get a commercial property, which is what I'm working on right now. I'm working on leveraging debt to get a commercial property tax-free. So, and I'm almost there, but that's how it's happening. So now from a broker's perspective, from a beginner's perspective, from a broker, you're getting your broker license, and then you're building your business credit, different strategies in order to do that, right? We talked about the tier 1. So LaDonna, tier 1, tier 2, and tier 3, where are you guys at in the class on Saturdays? What tier are you guys discussing? Or where are you in that process? Okay, you're on tier 1 and 2. And how many, let me ask this question for those who may not know. How many tiers are there? And is there a limit? There's 4 tiers, okay. So that leads to the next question. What's tier 4? We got tier 3, business loans, American Express cards, Amex cards, 50K or 100K. So tier 4 has to be something probably commercial type stuff, or right?
Line of credit.
Line of credit.
Lines of credit.
Lines of credit too. And so tier 4 is the last one. Lines of credit and stuff like that.
Right.
You talking about like commercial lines of credit or business lines of credit?
Business lines of credit. I mean, if you can prove to the lending agencies or the banks and things that you have XYZ amount of accounts, receivables coming in on a month to month, your projection of growth, then you can go to the bank and leverage a line of credit. Say, you need $150,000. Say, for instance, you got a contract, and a contract requires you to have 3 pieces of equipment. Those 3 pieces of equipment are going to cost you $300,000, but you want a line of credit because what you want to do, you want to use a percentage of that for the down payment, and then you need to have some additional operating capital. And so therefore, with the contract, you could possibly get a $150,000, $200,000 line of credit, because that contract states that you're going to make $500,000 or $600,000 a year.
Wow. Okay. So this is good to know from a broker's perspective. That's entailed in establishing your brokerage, building that to determine which way you want to go with that. So
it's
very
just
good.
It's like if you walk into a truck dealership, say for all of those brokers who decide you want to buy a truck, you walk into a truck dealership and you say, well, I've got $30,000 down, I want to buy a truck. And the first thing they want to know is where you want to put it. Who you going to operate it under? What type of money are you going to be making? And they may be hesitant. But if you walk in the door and say, hey, I want to buy a truck, I've got $20,000 to put down, and I have a contract that states that it's going to be paying me $12,000 to $15,000 potential a year, a week, then it's more easier to get that truck off the lot that way.
Yeah. So people are asking in the chat to information about the business credit class on Saturdays. That's LaDonna's baby. So you guys, Regina, Diane, reach out to LaDonna and you guys can have that conversation. She has it's a close-knit family. So but they are selective, because we don't want an incident that happened in the past to happen again. So we're taking, not to say that you guys will do that, but we're taking precautions. So we're very selective with that. So Kilbert.
Yeah, I wanted to ask Mr. Nelson the question to see, I'm looking to be a asset broker, and one of the niches that I want to focus on is box trucks and the dually lane. When I'm talking to shippers and going after shippers, I know that I probably should be looking at like the LTL loads and trying to figure out, what their capacity there is. But is there anything else that I should kind of key on or try to, research far as what would fit in a box truck, like how many pallets, and then, far as like the gooseneck flatbed dually trucks, far as those loads?
Okay, I'm gonna share my experience with you as far as LTL freight. Per se, same difference as box truck. Per se, same difference as trying to get it picked up and moved. When it comes to LTL and trying to find LTL and box truck freight, it's a very complex and complicated situation, because you're going to have to find shippers that are shipping not only full truckload, but possibly LTL. There's not a whole lot of people that are just shipping LTL, to a certain degree. At the same time, in owning a box truck, in handling LTL freight, handling individual pallet freight, it's difficult to a certain degree, especially if you're not per se doing an in-town route. If you're trying to run a box truck over the road, I say this all the time and a lot of people get mad at me. Box truck drivers are not over the road drivers. And the reason I say that is because, say for instance, you got a route that's going 300 miles, you got 6 pallets on a box truck that only holds 10, okay? It may be a situation where you pick up those 6 pallets, they may not be paying but $450. You may be going 300 miles with them, and you're not gonna find anything to fill that empty space. Yet again, at the same time, you may find something to fill that empty space, and guess what? When you get there to pick it up, the shipper said, oh, it's on pallets, and you get there to pick it up, it's on 40 by 60s, and you don't have room to put it. You can't get it in the truck.
Right.
So you're limiting yourself with running box trucks unless, quote unquote, you are running a city route. And I'm gonna tell you why I say city route. I mean, if you're running them in a metropolitan area, for the simple reason, if you're going from dock to dock, picking up things, taking them across town, when you get to this dock, you may have established a relationship with someone that says, hey, man, you know what? I got another load to pick up, but I can't get it in here. Could you stack that for me? Or it's a situation where, man, I've got some 60-inch pallets, but I've got 3 more pallets to get in here. Well, maybe I can run those across town and get back fast enough to get the other ones picked up. It's difficult to make a lot of money running the road with a box truck. That's just my opinion, because I've dealt with LTL and picking up freight and having to stack and turn sideways and everything else to get in the truck in order to make it fit. But the thing about it is, I'm going to one central location with it, and they're taking it off and they're starting to segregate it and sending it to other points in other cities. But the fact is, I talked to a guy the other day. He says, well, I got a truck, box truck. What do you suggest I do with it? I said, well, I tell you what you do. I say, if you're in a major metropolitan area, I would find me customers such as medical supply companies, because hospitals and doctors' offices and things are always needing things on a daily basis, to where that major carrier only comes in once a week, but they're always calling for hotshot services to take things across town. Pharmaceuticals, same difference there.
What are you gonna help me?
Final mile delivery. A lot of times during the summertime, LTL companies, they have so much freight going into residential areas to where they can't take a 40 or 53-foot truck into those residential areas, but they will hire outside box trucks with lift gates to go into those residential areas to make 6, 8, 10 stops a day. So that's my suggestion as far as box truck. As far as hotshot, if it's running interstate commerce, meaning if it's crossing state lines, DOT is changing the law to where those drivers are going to have a full-fledged CDL.
Yep.
And they're gonna have to take on the same insurance that most carriers take on. And as far as finding freight, it's the same difference. As a flatbed driver who's not picking up a full load, he's picking up partials. You got to find something that's going to fit with something else on that trailer, going in the same direction. And that's difficult to do.
Yeah, I did box trucks for 10 years. 2,500 to 3,000 pound hydraulic lift gates, diesel exhaust fluid.
Right.
Hino 268 with a Cummins and an Allison transmission, 13.1 height, put about 9,800 pounds in the box.
That's a job. That's a job.
Yep.
What about Sprinter vans? Would it be hard?
Expedite type freight.
Okay.
Sprinter vans, expedite, like Amazon. Get what you probably, if you're comfortable with wrapping your Sprinter van with Amazon logos, you can go that route a little bit, or get with FedEx expedite services. Because you can do expedite stuff all throughout the city, like major metropolitan areas. So
I would say Amazon. It just depends on where you are. They may have like an Amazon Fresh, which is more or less a grocery delivery. As far as individually leasing on to Amazon with the Sprinter, it used to be that way, but now Amazon requires anybody who has Sprinter vehicles to have a facility of at least 3,500 square feet, and have at least 40 to 45 units.
Because they're guaranteed. Why? Because they're guaranteeing capacity.
Guaranteeing capacity, absolutely.
Right. Bridget just asked the question, why? Because why would, if I was Amazon, a multi-billion-dollar company, why would I give that contract to somebody with just 1 or 2 or maybe 5 Sprinter vans? I would rather give it to someone who I can rely on in case one. What happens if 2 of those Sprinter vans break down? How are you going to maintain my need for capacity when 2 of your units are broken down? So that's why they're requiring the more units, the better, because they want their workflow, their production to continue to move. This is how Amazon is thinking. So if I'm going to contract with you, I need to make sure that you are able to sustain my productivity or stay parallel with it. So, that's the look from the corporate veil, if you will. So, yeah. But yeah, that box truck, yeah, I got a buddy down in Atlanta. with him and his wife, Tam and Sheldon, down there. They're doing it with the box trucks. Gilbert, you had your hand up, but you put it down.
Yeah, I had one more question, but I didn't want to feel like I was taking up too much time.
No.
So I have one opportunity, and I want to kind of flush it out to see if it's a good opportunity or not. I know someone that owns a rock quarry, and I had a brief conversation with this person about brokering loads for dump trucks. He set up a meeting for me, and I met with the CEO, and the way she explained it was they don't need an in-house broker pretty much, but whoever wins contracts and comes to that quarry to buy rock, sand, what have you, then that person would need a broker to broker the loads for the trucks. Like Mr. Nelson or Charles, do you all know anything about like the dump truck and brokering loads for that? I know I've been focusing a lot on freight, but I didn't know if this was like an opportunity I should just like pass up on, or is this something that I should really dive into?
Interesting.
I don't know how the loads move on dump trucks at all.
Well, it's volume, it's a number. It depends on how far it's going. They don't usually go that far with the dump truck load. They may have contracts like local construction sites and places around the city, and you have so many pickups and deliveries, you know, and whether it's a quad, if it's a triaxle, and all these a tandem. So it's different types of dump trucks. You got to deal with all that stuff too before you.
Is it bottom dump, side dump, belly dump? What type of freight is it? End dump?
Well, right now I'm not sure. All I know is that they just operated and they're looking for, on the sales side, they're trying to sell, to get their name out there and sell the sand. But he did say that people will be bidding on contracts. I was under the impression that he would be getting state contracts for the different highway projects, and then you would just need to figure out how to get the sand to the project. But that's not the way that the CEO, when I met with her, explained it. She was just more so saying other people will be bidding on their own individual contracts, whether it's a new apartment complex building or a highway project, and then they will come to the quarry to purchase the sand. But I guess they will need the brokers, whoever's winning the contracts. So it's like, should I go after the people who are, I think potentially are bidding on these contracts, whether it's the different construction companies, or should I just pass on that whole opportunity?
Well, 9 times out of 10, if it's a situation where it's rock or gravel or sand coming out of a quarry, 9 times out of 10, the contractors to whatever project they're working on is gonna bid on those things. Okay. And then at the same time, they're going to also bring in, quote unquote, the companies that they want to haul it. Now, if you're looking to, per se, you know, onboard a company that's willing to haul it, then there's a possibility that you can make money doing it. In other words, you have to find out, you know, what the project is, you know, because it's a situation like, okay, say for instance, it may be a highway project. It may be, you know, 35 miles of crushed gravel base. Okay. Now, how many loads of crushed gravel is it going to take to fulfill that project? How many trucks is it going to take on a day-to-day operation? What's the time frame of the construction on that project? Is it a 6-month project? Is it a 1-year project? Is it a 3-year project? How many tons of gravel is going to have to be moved, or sand or rock is going to have to be moved within that period of time? Also determines the amount of trucks that you need to bring into to run that project.
Right. That's exactly right. So those are probably the questions you need to go back and propose before you decide which way you want to go with that, Gilbert.
Yeah, get a little bit more clarity as to what exactly they're looking for, because it sounds like, you know, you've been told about a project that's going to need 3 to 4 different phases of it from various people, but it doesn't specifically tell you where you would fall in there as the broker and or to bring in trucks if that be the case.
Correct.
Right. Thanks for that.
All right, guys. Any final thoughts? Final thoughts? I'll go ahead and wrap it up a little bit, but we talked extensively about, you know, business credit and the different concepts and paydex scores and credit reporting and Duns and Bradstreets and Ansonia and net 30s accounts and tier 1, 2, 3, and 4, right? So virtual addresses, everything that's trade lines. We talked about everything that's business credit related. So people are saying they need to be in the business credit class with LaDonna. LaDonna, your class is about to grow. You gotta you gotta vet these interested parties just like you vet your carriers on your broker side, right? So, but yeah. So any final thoughts? I want to probably wrap it up at this point so I can get a little bit of rest because I've been driving. I've been up since I left Dayton, Ohio at 1:45 a.m. this morning in 10 hours, rolling through the mountains of West Virginia and the northern part of Virginia all the way down in the pitch dark. About 3 deers ran in front of the car as I was driving in the different areas in a span of about 100 miles. So I'm like, okay. So, but yeah, but made it home safe. So thank God for that. So we are good, guys. Everybody's good as far as the broker questions, beginner level questions, as far as what do I do next? I want to thank Camille with Above Ground Logistics. I believe I'm pronouncing that correctly. Above Ground, Camille, if she is still here. Because she got out, she had a carrier caller, I believe, and she was answering questions with the carrier, so she's busy. And then Donald with OnePlus Logistics, his company, you know, Donald's doing his thing with shippers. So guys, network with your counterpart classmates, if you will, members, through the Facebook Freight Broker 101 members group. You know, you got individuals who are in positions of a little bit further along in the journey than you may be, that can kind of help bring you along because they are experiencing what you hope to experience at some point in establishing your brokerage, right? Mr. Donald, Camille, I didn't even know Camille was moving loads like crazy. She's so quiet. That's probably why, because she's moving loads. So, and obviously Mr. Nelson, you know, he's doing his thing. And then now coming around the corner is LaDonna. LaDonna, what is the name of your freight brokerage?
LaDonna doesn't talk very much, does she?
Well, she talks in the business credit, and then she talks on Sunday with Exodus University. But on this freight broker side, she's more soaking up the information. So, okay, Sims Cole Logistics. So that's LaDonna's freight brokerage. So she's establishing. So LaDonna is proof of the progression through Exodus Logistics Learning Center, us, right? Coming in as a dispatcher and transitioning over to the freight broker. So she has a dispatching company, Dispatch for You, right? I think it's called Dispatch for You, dispatching. Oh, congratulations, Kilbert. Kilbert, he said, I just got approved yesterday. So Kilbert now is a freight brokerage. So look at that. We have people who are just, freight brokers are popping up left and right. Broker licenses, right? So everybody, so reach out to your counterparts, right? Reach out to your I guess classmates, if you will, or members, family members, you know, and the best way to reach out through is the Facebook Freight Broker members only Facebook group. The new one, because the old one, I can't get to right now because Facebook it's under investigation because it was hacked. So I created a separate one. So, but congratulations, Mr. Kilbert, what's the name of your freight brokerage?
Square Town Logistics.
You said Spread Town?
Square
Town Logistics. So everybody has, freight brokers are popping up, the licenses are popping up less. So getting the license, that's a process, but it wasn't a hard process. The challenge is going to be now is building your credit with your brokerage, your business credit, getting shippers, getting customers and shipments, and then actually brokering and moving the freight, correct? So, and of course, Mr. Nelson's freight brokerage is Switchback Freight Brokerage, Switchback GY6, I believe, freight brokerage. And then Mike is Exquisite Logistics. So everybody, so yeah.
Have you talked to Sedoni?
I have. She was coming back from, she was out of the country dealing with her father. She's going to touch bases with me. I can call her again.
Oh, okay, she's not back yet.
No, well, I think she is back. She's going to reach out to me because she still wants me to get a truck down there under her, and she'll put a driver in it or something like that. Because she's building her trucking side up and then maintaining her brokerage at the same time. So I got to get her in here as well. She's literally don't have the time, right?
Because I had sent her some stuff on some drayage for a company that I was working with there, and then they wanted some drayage coming out of their location. So
okay,
gave them her contact information so that she could see whether or not she could move that.
So for those of you who don't know, Mr. Nelson, can you explain what drayage is?
Containers, basically.
Running short distances, right?
Running short distances, and depends on where the ship docks and depends on what time of the year it is, because I've seen drivers come all the way from California to Texas because of a specific ship that their freight came in on couldn't come to California. It had to come to Texas, and they had to come to Texas to get it. So I've seen that. It also depends on, especially on the Gulf Coast, how the weather is during the summertime due to hurricanes, because a lot of times they will divert ships from one port to the other because of a hurricane.
Yeah. So someone asked what was Exodus University. Exodus University it's not a trucking school. What it is, I guess it should have been called Exodus Academy or something. It's not like a university feel like a regular university, but it's more like current or former students who have shown themselves to be versed in certain areas in the industry. Like, for example, LaDonna, her and her husband are good with trucks, compliance, and things like that. And then she's doing business credit as well. We have a former dispatcher who's doing very well and she's good at cold calling and getting carriers on the dispatching side. Her name is Shantae. She has a dispatching company called Encore and another one with her partner called Eye Candy Dispatch. We have Treve Muhammad. She's good. She's a mobile notary, and then she's also good at business startups, basic level stuff. So my idea with Exodus University was and this right now is still being formulated. That's why you can't access it, because this is actually my Wix team. Their picture, like this, I had a meeting with him. I have a meeting with them every Tuesday about keeping the website current and everything like that. So, but their pictures will be replaced with the members who are participating's pictures, a little bio, and then a click that ports over to their portal of the services that they provide and that can help you with, in addition to what you're learning on this platform. So it's a way to inter-network the students who've gotten good at what they do and still add value to the platform. So that was my idea. I just called it Exodus University. I could have called it Exodus Academy. I could have called it something else, but XU kind of had a little ring to it, right? So that's all it is. Speaking of trucking, I'm probably going to be sometime next year or later in this year. You see Dispatcher 101, Freight Broker 101. There's probably going to be a trucking 101 at some point. Mr. Nelson, I'm probably going to reach out to you too, to see if, I doubt if you have the time, but at least as a contributing speaker or whatever, but to formulate an outline for people who are interested in starting, and LaDonna and Chris as well, her husband, a outline of someone who wants to start a trucking company, right? From conceiving the idea to getting your authority to purchasing the truck, insurance, everything, if the IRP, so from A to Z, until your authority becomes active as a common carrier or whatever type of carrier, whatever type of authority. But in most cases, it's probably going to be a common carrier. So not a passenger, not a contract, not a household goods, but probably a common carrier. So some A to Z. So dispatcher 101, freight broker 101, trucking 101. And so that way it comes full circle in the transportation industry, that everything that's involved in transportation, dispatching, brokering, trucking. So, all right.
Well, I'll throw out another little tidbit too, Charles, and of course, it just depends on what one does, and once they gain the experience to do it. There are a lot of companies out there that they do have logistics managers, and then there are companies out there that actually don't have logistics managers, but they also have fleets, and they also need inside brokerages, people who can work within their TMS systems and dispatch and distribute their freight, not only through their company vehicles, but also outside carriers also.
Right. So that's a way to leverage, you guys' skill set. And yeah. So maybe we can talk about that a little bit more Friday, Mr. Nelson, if you don't mind.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
So you're saying like a independent freight broker coming to a company and work as their logistics provider?
Yeah, I mean, there's situations, and I guess that it kind of became a part of what I was doing within the LTL realm of business too, with supply chain logistics. A lot of times, companies have fleets, and they want to hire an operations manager to run that company, but they don't have that inside knowledge to run that fleet and to move that freight. And so therefore they may contract out to an individual brokerage or brokerage firm to come in and work within their TMS systems. And not only do they dispatch the company's trucks, but they also handle the logistics of anything outside of their company trucks that other carriers would come in and move out, or either inbound freight for them.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Yeah, we can. If you guys remind me Friday, we can expound on that a little bit. All right. And my first number that came from my head is 100,000. Somebody want to bring me in their company. Depends on the size of the fleet, the frequency of, what capacity they need, where they're going, what lanes they're running. So all these are the questions that I would ask and consider when I sign a contract. And the bare minimum for me would be 100,000. I got to be six figures if I'm going to provide this type of service. And even entertain coming back.
And it's possible. I mean, it's definitely possible. I mean, there are a lot of companies out there, and I'll tell you how you can pretty much find those positions and think about it. A lot of times, and this is another way I find shippers too, is like on Indeed, I will submit an application for a freight logistics manager, and you'd be surprised how many people will send you inquiries, wanting to hire you as a freight logistics manager. And at the same time, when inquiring about, what your skill set is, you're also getting an inside lead as to what that company is.
Exactly. Especially if you're a broker now, you coming in with a skill set as a freight broker and you're looking for a logistics provider.
Right. I mean, and then now you know who the company is who's hiring. Okay. So 9 times out of 10, you got an inside number and also a name to someone within inside that facility, because you'll find a lot of new companies will do that, that are just setting up or just getting started.
Interesting.
And that may be a way that you can possibly work your way into becoming a logistics broker with inside their facility.
Now
that's just brilliant.
But
Isn't
don't you
it?
need some type of experience or something?
Say again?
Don't you need like some type of experience, like maybe a year of experience or something working for another company like that? Or
Well, what I'm speaking on a mindset of, in the future, You know, it doesn't hurt to start planning today for next year or next month or 2 years from now.
Right. No,
know,
it's very interesting. It was something I
Right.
had, someone had told me to look into.
Yeah, I mean, to know those options are out there.
Right.
I mean, I've been in this industry for 36 years, you know, and so I've seen a lot of different things and dealt with a lot of different people, you know, that have, I guess I just put it this way, I hadn't walked around with my head now. You know, I've been nosy. So, you know.
Right.
Very good. Good information. All right, guys, something to think about and entertain. So we'll go into we can discuss that a little further on this Friday. Remember, my live Zoom trainings will still be 2 days a week, Tuesdays and Fridays at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, but they will only be starting in April, which is a few days. They will only be on the second and fourth week of every month now going forward. Okay, instead of all 4 weeks of the month, it's going to be the second. So mark your calendars every second and fourth week. And of course, I got my Wix team sending out automated email reminders as well, but I'm just letting you guys know. And I did a YouTube video when I was in Ohio in a hotel about it. So that's on YouTube. But so, all right, just wanted to let you guys know so there won't be any surprises. So after Friday, well, Friday is the first, so technically, but after that, every second and fourth week of every month, we'll have to, you got everything else will stay the same. You still have access to the portal, to the back office at your own pace to your heart's content, right? Because you are ongoing members, but it'll just, the live trainings will just be every 2 days a week, every second and fourth week, okay? The first and third week of every month, I'm gonna be building other instances, bringing them on the platform and adding value and working on bringing on more guests. I actually met with the shipper up in when I was in Ohio too. So, but and then I met some students, took some pictures, and I went up to Detroit, did the same thing. So I was kind of all over this weekend, which is crazy. Yeah. So
Charles, I've been meant to tell you, I am trying to get him to do it. I'm friends with the terminal manager for April's largest distribution center. And I'm trying to get him to come on and one day and sit in on a class and you know, just pass some knowledge off too.
yeah, and I got someone someone sent me a text about someone that they know that I need to call, a trucking person, to talk to give some knowledge about what he does on the broker side as well. That was Mr. Donald, matter of fact. I haven't had a chance to call your friend Buck Clyde Reed.
Yeah, he's a good gentleman. He's open to coming in and speaking as well.
Okay, so I'll have the initial conversation with him. Hopefully I can get him in on Friday. We can see what he has a ton of knowledge, has trained as a broker, and he will speak to the broker class. Okay, so
You might not get him on Friday because I need his truck.
Okay, so he's the only driver. He's the only driver. He's just a one-man team.
No, he owns a fleet. He owns 3 trucks, small fleet right now.
Okay.
But I need to steal him on Friday. I'll see. He may not take it, but I already told him I need to borrow him on. I got a load I need to move.
Okay. All right. Yeah, you guys are making moves, man. You guys are making moves. So my next idea may be a excellence logistics freight brokerage, and then have all your brokerages work as an inter-network, and we all just work together. That would be huge.
That would be awesome.
That'll change the game. So, of course, I'm going to get with Mr. Nelson and Mr. Irwin, and they're probably going to be on my board of directors. It gotta be.
I talked with him today.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, that would be huge. And definitely try to make your own load board. Yeah, make our internal load board. So that's probably a year or two plan. The brokerage because I'm busy just trainings with dispatching And I can leverage the dispatch students to bring their carriers to the brokers to get freight for the dispatching students to help them move loads for their carriers. And then for the freight broker students to help you guys network with in the inter-network of brokers, right? So, because this industry is not going anywhere anytime soon. So, and we're going to leverage all the different services that we need, factoring, credit, everything that we've learned, and then we put it all together in this big ecosystem, right? This big freight brokerage ecosystem that we can just, and we don't even have to rely on anyone else. We wouldn't have to, it would be so self-sustained that we wouldn't have to go outside of ourselves in order to satisfy ourselves. You know, you see what I'm saying? So that's the goal that I want. I wouldn't have, even with reloads, backhauls, we can reach out to a broker in the inner network and say, hey man, I got a carrier that needs something coming out of here. You got anything? Or I got something over here. You got anything? And everybody knows each other and we trust each other because we work with each other. You see what I'm saying? So that'd be ideal, right?
That is so huge.
That will be huge.
That is so huge.
So, but it needs to be built though. That's why you guys are getting your brokerages established. You're getting shippers with shipments, and you're establishing and building history with your customers. And then the dispatchers are getting their carriers and moving freight with them. So they're learning that process. So when that does happen, all I got to do is just plug and play. Just bring you guys on in and boom. And we'll see the lanes you guys have. And we can pretty much strategically have it on a like a digital map showing everything. Okay, well, I got One Plus Logistics over here. He got some lanes over here for this equipment type. I got above ground transportation over here. They got freight over here. And we're reaching out to each other. Inter-networking out and within our ecosystem, and it's protected, firewall and everything. I want to have it. This is an idea that I've been having for years now. So no one can penetrate it because I'm going to put security things in place that's not going to even happen. Digital footprints and everything. So you guys don't know what I've been thinking myself to sleep at night, stuff like this. So, but yeah, it's going to be powerful. So those are the thoughts in my mind. So I'm building a team. I want to put a team in place for stuff like that. So, and you're going to have other people trying to get in, but the people that are going to get in are the people who are already participating with what they're doing, right? Who are already students and building their brokerages. So, right? Because you can't have everybody involved in your business. You know what I'm saying? You can't have everybody involved in your business because some people don't have the same. Some people may be on the same wavelength as you, right? But different frequencies. You guys follow what I'm saying? So
yeah, your dream is not everybody else's dream.
Right. So yeah, same wavelength, different frequency. So that can scramble the signal, you know, mixed messages, you know, and then some people are, you know, their intent is ill. And I'm a good, well, I used to think I was a good judge of character and used to read people, but that mistake kind of slipped up a little bit with Jay back in the day, but hey, that is what it is. It's a learning experience. So, and Calvin. So I knew he was gonna say something, but he and I, we kind of reconciled, Mr. Nelson. So we're good now. He actually wants me to help him with something that he's doing down there in Florida. So.
Well, that's good. That's good.
And I'm thinking about it. So we'll see. But so yeah, because he's in good with what's the school down in Florida? Florida State. He got something. Well, he says he has something down there with Florida State and the students down there and a university thing that's doing logistics down there. So okay,
It's been a story for a long time.
It has. It should be. I thought it would be a book by now, or at least a mini series on television. But
yeah.
But anyway, so all right, guys, I gotta get some rest, man. It's 8 o'clock on the dot. But those are futuristic ideas. So I need you guys to get your brokerages up and running, and start getting your customers base, build it. So go from there.
I
Okay,
like it.
yeah,
All right.
future. All right, guys, thank you, guys.
All
Good seeing you
right.
guys.
Monday.
All right.
Thank you so much, sir. God bless you.
All right.
All right,
good
take
night.
care, everyone.